Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking about King Lear, probably actually my favorite Shakespeare play. And if I get a chance at the end, I'll actually talk about um an adaptation of King Lear that I've been working on, modern adaptation called Lear and His Children. But let me just start by talking about Mr. Shakespeare's play. Okay, so first of all, Shakespeare, as I've mentioned in previous videos, born in 1564, died in 1616, wrote 39 plays, give or take. Some people say less, some people say more. Um, but Riverside says 39. Um, so background on this play, it was based on the true chronicle of the history of the life and death of King Lear and his three daughters. I'm sorry, that's the name of the play. Sorry. Let me look at my website. What the name of the source is. I think it's Holmes and Chronicles. No, yes, it is. In Sydney's Arcadia, Spencer's Fairy Queen, Chronicle History of King Lear, which is anonymous. Yeah, those are the main sources for Mr. Shakespeare's play. But yeah, what I mentioned before, the true chronicle of the history of the life and death of King Lear and his three daughters, was an earlier version, and the tragedy of King Lear is the theatrical version. So it's two. That's okay? Be sniffing? Huh? Sorry. Um. So about anyway, this play was written in Jacobean times. So hold on, people are sending me messages on Skype. Let me go into disturb. But anyway, this is based on Lear of Britain. Anyway, okay. So, written in 1606. It was, I guess, first performed at the Globe. And then, as it has restoration performances, then Edmund Kean played it in the 19th century. In 1983, there was a television version with Laurence Olivier. And I know there was performances John Peel did, and one with Paul Scofield. So they're the major performers and major performances that I can think of off the top of my head. Now, moving on to the plot. So Gloucester, who is, I believe, an earl in it. He's an earl, yeah. He talks about his sons, both the legitimate one and the bastard one. Meanwhile, Lear, King Lear, divides his kingdom by three for his daughters. based on how they flatter him. And Cordelia, his youngest daughter, unlike Goneril and Regan, doesn't flatter him, and for that she's banished, and she marries the King of France. And then when Kent, who's an earl, defends Cordelia, Lear banishes him too. So Edmund, the bastard son of Gloucester, writes this letter, forges it in his brother's handwriting, and says that his brother Edgar is going to kill Gloucester. And he does this because he's both jealous of him and he's trying to get his father's fortune. So Goneril turns away the knights of Lear, and after Kent comes in disguise as Caius, and Lear calls for the fool, she kicks him out. So Lear orders Kent in disguise to send a letter to Gloucester. Meanwhile, Edmund tells Edgar that Gloucester is angry with him. As he leaves, he cuts himself and tells Gloucester that his brother did it. Major crazy there. So Cornwall actually orders Kent. Cornwall is the husband of Regan. He orders Kent to be put in the stocks, and then Edgar comes in disguised as poor Tom. So Regan kicks Lear out for the same reason, because he has knights, representing power and false pride and false power. So Lear's out on the storm, and he's met by the fool and by Kent. Gloucester goes to search for the King Lear, because France is coming, and Edmund plans to tell Cornwall, so he puts him to death. So Edgar comes in as poor Tom, a crazy beggar, and Gloucester is met with Lear and tells him what's going on. So when Edmund tells Cornwall, he plots to find Gloucester, and so he seeks shelter. Gloucester is found, and he is blinded for talking. Meanwhile, the servant stabs Cornwall, and then he stabs the servant. So, meanwhile, Gloucester sees Edgar's poor Tom in a frenzied state and comforts him and gives him money. Goneril realizes that her husband is no longer an ally, and that Cornwall has died, and France has landed. Now, Albany is plotting revenge for Lear and Gloucester. So Cordelia, we see Cordelia praying, in France. So Regan wants to woo Edmund now, and as is Goneril. Gloucester's with his son Edgar, and he tries to commit suicide, but his son doesn't let him. He pretends to throw him off a cliff, and then he's like, "You survived," and now he's disguised as a regular person, and of course Gloucester can't see him, so he doesn't know what's going on. And Lear comes and recognizes Gloucester, and then says, "You're forgiven for having a bastard son." Meanwhile, the French come, and Lear asks to see Cordelia. Oswald, who's been told to stab Gloucester, tries to, but Edgar stabs him. And Cordelia sees her father, forgives him. Albany is actually warned that they're trying to kill him, and Edmund declares his love for both Regan and Goneril. Edgar takes Gloucester's shelter. towards the end, they condemn Cordelia to be hung. Meanwhile, Goneril stabs Regan, kills herself. And Edmund and Edgar fight, and Edgar stabs Edmund. As he's dying, he asks for Cordelia to be freed, but she's already dead. She comes in the arms of the broken-hearted Lear, who dies of a broken heart, and then Edgar and Albany ask Kent to rule with them, but he says he's too old. So, a lot of characters, about 12 noteworthy ones. Start with my favorite, Edmund. So Edmund parallels Iago, who was in Othello, which I didn't read for this paragraph, but he also has some ties in with Macbeth. Edmund, as I was studying him, except for the part where he repents, I got vibes about him having psychological issues. Mainly that he lies about his brother, his jealousy, his greed, his sexualness, his lack of conscience kind of points to borderline and antisocial personality disorders. I'm into psychology, so that's kind of what I think of him. He could just be evil. He's probably just evil. But the thing about Edmund, which is similar to Lear and Gloucester, he repents. He repents for his crimes. But at the point when he repents, it's too late. So, and he's pretty much damned. Edgar is his brother, the good son. That's distracting. Sorry. Edgar, is, even after his father has turned on him because of Edmund, Edgar remains loyal to Gloucester, just as Cordelia remains loyal to her father. This is the statement that love is unconditional. Edmund parallels in this play Regan and Goneril. Kent is also a loyal character. When looking at these characters, you want to see who's good and who's bad. So Edmund is bad, Edgar is good, Kent, good. So that's what we have so far. Kent enters in disguise and tries to remain loyal to Lear. Regan, definitely bad character. And her sister Donald, definitely bad. Cornwall, well, he's stabs Gloucester, obviously bad character, obviously, evil married to evil. Albany's good, as he sees the wrong things that his wife is doing and sees the corruption and the dysfunctionality in the family. He recognizes that. Oswald is bad for going along with Lear's children. He's Goneril's steward, actually, so it's Goneril. What's wrong? What's wrong? You okay? You need help? So, characters who border good. Oh, yeah, or good and bad are Lear and Gloucester. Lear is a prideful character. And tragic figure. He seeks flattery. He seeks power with his knights, and in his pride is his downfall, and leads to the loss of his kingdom and his children. He makes an error in trusting Goneril and Regan. That's his blindsidedness, as is Gloucester. With Edgar, trusting Edmund instead. These characters both repent in a way and are forgiven by their children. The last two characters I want to talk about, Cordelia and the Fool. And in my analysis, I want to discuss whether these characters. I have heard a lot that Cordelia and the Fool are doubled. I don't think they appear in any two scenes together. They never appear on stage at the same time. And there's a line where it says, "My poor fool is hanged." But anyway, the Fool, whether or not it's Cordelia, is good, and Cordelia is pure good. Cordial Heart is the name of Cordelia. So based on what I just talked about in the characters, this plays basically about the battle between good and evil. So there are these two forces at nature. There's and then there's actually the ones in the middle, the ones who have to repent. There's the sinners, the saints, and then there's the more human characters who have to suffer in order to learn their actions and have recognition. And that's what we see in Gloucester and Lear. They both parallel each other, especially with their children. Gloucester's made into the subplot. One of the most important symbols, the storm. The storm represents the wrath of God and heat and energy and trouble and all that kind of stuff. Blindness and madness is one thing that I want to discuss. Gloucester, like Oedipus, goes blind, and by being blinded, sees the truth within, sees the truth that he never really discovers that Edgar is poor Tom / the ordinary man who finds him. But there is some sense of renewal for Gloucester. Also Gloucester, he's not all bad. The only thing he did is, he never really turned against his son. Well, he thought he did, but to be dumb enough to trust Edmund. But he is a good character in that he warns the king, and in doing so, suffers through that, kind of like a Christ-like figure, and then is saved by establishing a reunion with Edgar. Lear goes mad, well, he goes senile, and there's a difficulty in him recognizing people. But through his madness, he recognizes Cordelia. Through his madness, he recognizes Gloucester. And I guess it's a reversal, him from a more sane mind, where he's angry and prideful, to a more fragile state where he is more humble and loving and kind. Finally, disguise. So we've Kent is Caius. We have Edgar's poor Tom. We have possibly Cordelia's a fool, and so that's 3 people in disguise. And in a way that represents angels in disguise. The good never, he can't vanquish good. There'll always be good and good-hearted people and characters in plays that there's the sense of hope. And that's why these characters appear in disguise, is kind of reminders that they will never leave Gloucester and Lear. So both of these fathers, Lear and Gloucester, have failed. Lear with Goneril and Regan, and Gloucester with Edmund. And at the same time, one of their children comes out good. Parents, this is about the mistake of parents and the faultiness of parenthood and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so this play definitely well structured, several subplots, good religious ideas, and some more reoccurring things. The 3 sisters, evil, disguise. All these appear in other plays I've read, and yeah, I don't think I'm gonna discuss. I may make a video later on today talking about the Lear adaptation that I've been working on, but I'm just gonna cut the video off right here. Alright, bye.